Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Blanca. Hi, all. My name is Lee.holderfield. My pronouns are they, she, today. I'm a gender fluid writer of all things queer and fantastical, and I am tired, so apologies for me wiping my eyes. You can find me on AO3 and Instagram as Lee.holderfield.writes, and obviously this channel. And the stuff you can find is on AO3, which is a great Gatsby-esque love story between a Weasley twin and a Malfoy daughter. And it's all things Rowling hates. So, if that's your vibe, you can come check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with my friend over here, Miss Annika. Introduce yourself.
On my screen, there's no one there.
Oh, on my... Okay, well,
You mean me or Michael?
Okay. You.
Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm Annika, and I write mainly YA contemporary, and I'm starting to make videos about writing. So, yeah.
Yay.
And I have Tourette's syndrome, so I'm gonna yell and wiggle here.
It's all good. Yeah, and hi, I'm Michael. I'm a writer. And I don't know, I'm a writer. I'm a poet, and I'm happy to be here for another Storytellers Hearth. And thanks for inviting me, Lee.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sam and Sarah, for organizing the event also.
Yeah, most definitely.
Thank you.
So, speaking of the Tourette's thing, Annika, as me and her were talking backstage, we've already started reacting to each other's tics, so that's going to be interesting. We're just going to have a dance party on screen, so good luck watching that.
Chaos!
Woo! Hello, CB. Hello, Sarah. And hello, Cool Gamer 2.
Hi.
Goodness. So we're gonna do a sprint in a second. I always say the first one is, like, generally, at least in my streams, that I don't do anything writing related. There's always that time to get, like, whatever you need. I'm gonna finish breakfast because, I didn't do that yet. Eat, grab a snack, walk around, stretch, whatever you need to do. Boot up your writing programs depending on whatever you got to do to get yourself ready. And, you can also tell us what you're planning on working on in the chat. I'm going to be working on that project I was talking about. It's called, I just realized I never said the title, Cassiopeia Malfoy, Young Love and Old Money. And yeah, I found some stuff I need, like, it's already written, but I arranged it wrong, so I have to move the chapters around, or else it's going to bother me. So that's what I'm going to be doing today.
Actually, I'm going to be working on some editing for the streams. So I'm just going to be continuing to read through my manuscript, and I'm just going to be highlighting edits that I want to make. And then that'll be the whole pass through. And then after that, I can go through again for another pass and actually make all of those edits. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
If you don't mind me asking, how far into the pass through are you done?
So I've got 3 equal parts in the whole manuscript, and I'm like right now I'm close to the end of the first part. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Not bad. And Annika, what are you working on today?
I'm gonna continue writing my 24-hour novel. That's not gonna be finished in 24 hours though, but
Yeah.
that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I didn't realize that like was this weekend either. I actually finished my stream yesterday, and I saw that like I had been tagged in the Discord for the 24-hour novel challenge, and it was like it's begun, and I was like, oh. But with everything else that I've got going on this week or this weekend, I was like, yeah, I didn't prep for it. I'm not even gonna try. But yeah, that for those of y'all who don't know, there's a Discord called 24-hour novel challenge, and every June, I think, there's you basically you pick a 24-hour block of a weekend in June, and you write basically what NaNoWriMo is. You would write all of that in 24 hours, and I'm like, I've
But
tried.
they don't
for
have
years,
to be
I've never
20
failed.
for consecutive hours.
Yeah, but at some point during that weekend, so 8, 8, and 8, or 12 and 12, whatever, getting 24 hours worth of writing and hopefully getting to the end of the novel, which, I mean, if you can, more power to you. I've never gotten anywhere close.
Yeah, I don't think I can physically type that fast that I could do that.
True. I feel like at that point you've got to do like speech to text and just jabber real fast.
Yeah, I tried that once and I still wasn't fast enough.
Yeah.
And it made a lot of mistakes.
That's what I would assume would happen. I
Yeah.
thought at least it was, if it was fast enough, being back to fix the edits wouldn't be too bad. But if it's not fast enough either way, that kind of sucks.
That wouldn't work for me. A novel in 24 hours.
Hello, Zila. Nano or CB says that Nano is stressful enough. A novel in 24 hours is just too much. Millwordy, I do remember. Oh God, that's like 1 million words total in 1 year, like including everything: emails, writing for work, writing for fun, like your actual quote unquote job, like all of those things added together to be 1 million words, which I thought that was a cool idea, but I can't imagine like remembering to count all of those things.
Yeah, that might be the hardest part, actually, just counting everything and kind of like definitely, like I would at least definitely end up estimating a lot of, like word counts and, like I would just suddenly remember that email or whatever, or Instagram message, and then just kind of like estimate on how many words it was.
Oh yeah, I suppose you would add like text and stuff, which sounds even worse to remember, but
yeah.
Millwordy is Nano 20 times over. I mean, yes, but it's not all novel related, so there's less creativity involved, I guess. Like you don't have to create from scratch with every single word. Like me typing in haha meme is 2 words.
Wait,
like already.
Isn't an emoji officially 2 characters or something like that?
Really?
So
I have no idea.
Count each emoji as a word.
Well, even if it was 1 character, you could still count it as a word, because I count as words.
That's true. Well, also, like, if you put LOL, would that count as 1 word or 3?
I would probably count it as 1.
Well, I'm just like, I'm real curious how all this would go down. It's interesting. And apparently, yes, it is 2 characters on Twitter for an emoji. Thank you.
And Millwordy also, if we didn't mention, is Kate Kavanaugh's.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I should have said that. I know it started with her stuff. I didn't know if it has since kind of gone off in directions.
Yeah, it's
But
kind of become a bit of an author tube thing, I'd say.
yeah.
For sure.
Um. Cool. I'm gonna.
Cool.
Well,
It was a cheat.
Michael's just watching us act a fool on screen. It's fine. Anyway, I was gonna say we can start our first sprint, mostly because I want to finish my breakfast.
yeah, I'm
So
down.
yeah. I typically do 20s until the end, and then whatever that last sprint is, kind of just depends on what time we have left. But uh, like I said, do what you gotta do. Eat your breakfast. Eat or drink water. Take your meds. Stretch. Whatever you gotta do. Do all the things. Get yourself ready for the writings, and we'll see you in 20 minutes.
Yay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Let me get that off the screen. Goodness, I forgot how hosting requires so many clicks of. Anyway. Yeah, so I finished my breakfast and went through some emails and started reading the chapters to remember where I needed to put them, but I haven't actually done the moving around yet. How did y'all do?
Yeah, I brewed my coffee. I poured my coffee. I actually spilled a little bit of my coffee. It was kind of a coffee kind of sprint with a little bit of the drinking of the coffee. And
So many things. You just checked off so many parts of the to-do list. I mean,
exactly.
so productive.
I mean, I try, but I got my document opened. I just got into the writing, and I guess that's about it. Yeah.
I got 353 words and refreshed this board.
Oh, nice, nice. That's a nice looking board you got there.
Thank
Is
you.
that to like keep track of the different streams?
Yeah.
Okay. Smart. Ooh. Hello, Crystal. I see you had some discussion back and forth. Okay, I see it. So originally she said need to get my 100k words in today, and considering she said woot again, I'm hoping that means she's gotten at least some progress on that front.
Right. We've got something going on.
Good morning, Stacy. Hello again. 108 words that sprint. I got distracted by blue sky. Do you explain? She does not. Can you explain what that is? Is that a name, or is that something I'm just not understanding?
I'm not sure actually what blue sky is.
Maybe it's supposed to just be like there's a space and she was distracted by the pretty sky, but I don't know. I based off the fact that there's no space makes me think it's a name. It's Blue Sky is another social media platform like Twitter. Got it. Okay, thank you. Stacy said that they got some laundry started and was thinking about getting dressed before I start writing. Valid. I got into a nice little comfy sweater. Also because I'm going to be on stream. But, I'm pretty sure y'all didn't want me with my hair sticking up on the side and, very
Like
clearly
an anime
just not
hairdo.
Yeah, just,
That'd be okay. I'd be down with that.
I'll keep that in mind for next time. Crystal says, first of all, I don't like that word only. You got 300 words. Okay. And you implemented edits and are on chapter 13, 38. Again, there is no only in that statement. You did very good.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a great achievement.
764 words. I don't know why, but that looks very similar to your name, CB. My brain took a second to figure out which words I was supposed to say out loud.
That's a lot of words there, CB.
Explain the blue sky thing. And then at least it's not true social. Oh God, I don't know what any of those are, and I feel like we're about to start a debate in the chat. You're most welcome. I don't like the word only because it just doesn't help anyone. But yeah, yesterday I wrote several chapters, but my word count only said 50 words, but that's because I was deleting stuff and then rewriting it, and it just happened to be slightly more words than I had deleted. So
right.
I don't like the word only either. Exactly. And then Yeah.
Well, only is 4 letters, right? And I believe I'm right in saying that most words, at least in the English language, are actually 4 letters. Did you know that?
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
4 or 5, I feel like, would be.
yeah. If you actually just kind of like, if you're watching like a live stream or something or a video and you just randomly pause while peeps are talking, you'll notice that more often than not, the word that they're either like basically the last word that they said when you paused will be a 4 letter word. It's really weird.
I mean, I don't know if that has to do with all of the like English vocabulary if you checked off every single word would
Yeah.
be 4 letters, or just based off of everyone's just talking conversationally and therefore are more likely to say shorter words.
Yeah, like in terms of like everyday kind of like English, um, and the words that we use, like when we speak that way, informally and whatnot, and even formally too, I guess, but maybe less so. I just noticed, at least personally, that most words are 4 letters.
Makes sense. Crystal says I'm trying to get out of my only era. Someday progress will be progress in my brain without the icky self-talk. Honestly, I started the correcting only in other people first. I don't know if that's just a me thing. Like, it's much easier to be like, no, don't talk bad about yourself to other people
Mhm.
before I could then do that to myself. Um, I don't know. Maybe
I
that was
think
just
it's
a me
the
thing.
same as talking sense to someone else is much easier than talking sense to yourself.
That, well, it's also easier to catch it when it's not your own brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stacy says, "Can I just say every time someone says that I cannot use the word only, it makes me want to use it that much more." I get the point, but it's just a word. I mean, yes, but when it comes to celebrating progress on like a sprint like this, I feel like that's when I'm more like no, because a lot of people will see like, for instance, CB had 700 words, and you're like, well, I only had this much in comparison. It's not a comparison game to begin with. It's we're all writing with the point to write, not we all have to compete to have the biggest number at the end.
Yeah. And also only, can be used as a word in lots of other ways too.
Yeah, having a valid use for word doesn't mean you can't dislike it. Like, I know there's valid reasons to use the word should, but I still don't like it.
Hmm.
Zila says having high standards for yourself is okay as long as it's not, like you say, negative self-talk. You got this. Da-da-da-da. And we got a heart back. Yeah, and it's also maybe again this might just be a me thing, but I with I don't write as my job, which I feel like a lot of people on here write and content create as their job. And so it's every time there's an event like this, I haven't written consistently in X amount of weeks beforehand. So I'm sitting here like trying to get back in the swing of things. And then I'm like, oh, damn, I only wrote 300 words. I only did this. I only did this.
Yeah.
While everyone else can do the thing because their brain is used to doing it over and over again and therefore will inherently be quicker at it. And again, it's just we're all coming here to celebrate to write, and that's or to do whatever, whether you're reading, editing, doing your daytime work, whatever.
Yeah, I feel like I'm slow at writing when it comes to sprints, but then I remind myself that most of you write in English, I assume. So, and I write in Finnish, which means that there's less words used to say the same thing.
That's true.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and again, this speaking of other languages thing, like The only other language I know fluently is sign language. But whenever we do whenever I do video essays, they're basically signing the same equivalent as the English word. An ASL sentence can be a third or even a fourth length of the same sentence because we don't do the these, the is's, the a's, any of those like English specific filler words.
Right.
And so, I don't know. I had a point to that. My brain just went off into a direction. But kind of the equivalent of what Annika was saying was just like, yeah.
Yeah, Finnish doesn't either have the this and a's and n's and whatever. We don't have those kinds of words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember a teacher telling me years ago in school that if you looked at English and then it was, he said, French and Italian, he said that English had more or has more words than French, but French has actually more words that describe emotions.
Yeah, I can see it.
That's cool.
And then he said that with Italian compared to French, it's the same thing again. So Italian has fewer words than French, but actually has more words to describe emotions than French. So English is pretty famous for having a lot of words, but a lot of words that kind of don't mean anything, different from other words. Like you have like 10 words to say one basic thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there are nuances to those words, but a lot of other cultures and a lot of other languages allow the person to, like, you can have the nuance to words, but you can also not have it, right? It's like if you can have like sort of in a related way, you could rate something 1 to 100, but you could also rate it 1 to 10, right? Like it doesn't really matter how many grades you have. And a lot of languages that aren't English, they may not have as many words to basically say the same thing. But when that's your mother tongue and you've grown up that way, it actually doesn't, it's not like bad or anything, because everybody kind of uses the same few words, but they have like other ways also through body language and tone and everything to say exactly what they mean. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like you can have more imagination also in like interpreting what someone is saying when they're just using those fewer words.
Or if you're doing the German word that like German words have such specific meanings to them. There's always like, what's the German word for an entire paragraph of explanation, and then every single time there's an actual answer, and It's just like,
yeah.
Have y'all seen those before?
Where you can like put the words together to form one long word.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I've recently started writing in English more, and I've realized English is missing so many words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like so many things.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot, and I've heard that English words don't really have the bite that a lot of words in other languages have. Like, I know there are words in Chinese, there are words in Polish. It's like there's just no translation in English, because you can have basically the same word, but it's like watered down, basically.
Yeah.
And other languages have those words that just really bite the way that they'll have one word that really bites, and then English will have like six words, but none of them will really bite. And they'll all be a little bit different, all be a little bit nuanced, but yeah.
For example, I really like the Finnish word jaksaa, and it basically means to have the energy or the fox to do something or to be able to. And
Right.
So not the
there's just
motivation, but
no
just
that kind of word
capability.
in English, and
Yeah.
I've struggled with that a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Fran. Stacy says she uses the word only when she's distracted during a sprint. Fair. But yes, we are all kicking ass this weekend because we're awake and doing the things. Exactly.
That's
Yes.
true.
So I only got those words because I had life, and normally I am proud of those only words because I got them instead of just doing the other things. Fair enough. And Zila said showing up is half the battle.
Yeah.
Stacy, I studied German for a short while. German words got us something going on. I studied French more diligently. Fair.
I also know German, and the words are like they're like random letters in a random order, and then it sounds like schön, and then there's like SCH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. Whenever I read things in other languages, my brain is sitting there going like, you're going to say this wrong. Like, even though I should know how to say it because like I know based off of like what English letters sound like, and I know that some languages have it that sound differently, and I'm just like, I'm going to say this wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only part about
me.
Finnish language that's easy, because
Mm.
you say everything as it's written, and there's no difference in pronunciation versus writing.
Okay.
English is 3 languages in a hat, so
Yeah.
you know. One of my D&D friends is from another country, and they found out that spouse sounds like house. They thought it was spoose. And I was like, nope.
Oh yeah.
Spouses and husband and wife rhymes with house.
Mm.
Regardless, I'm going to start us on our next sprint,
Okie
and
dokie.
we're going to get all of the words, all of the things. We
Yeah.
got this. Now that, we've gotten all the other stuff out the way. See you in 20.
Woohoo!
Hi, I got scared of the timer going off.
Sorry. I looked over and it was like, okay, 2 minutes left, and then I was like, okay, I'll keep my eye on it, and then I also was like, oh shit, it's done. Okay, fuck.
Yeah, I looked at the timer and it said like 3 minutes and something, and then I was like, okay, I'll continue writing for 2 minutes more. And then it went off.
Let me make sure I don't. Yeah, there we go. Sorry. So I had before I lost my brain. Hello, Shannon. Thank you for making friends with the like button. Maybe the rest of y'all should do that, mayhaps. I don't know. Oh wait, I forgot. Yeah, so I moved basically 10 chapters either by like breaking them up into 2 chapters or moving them around. Some of them are still out of order, but like I now know what each of them are, so I can then move them to the correct place. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
How did y'all do?
I did good. Yeah, that was our second sprint, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is yeah. I just did good with the writing. That's my first good writing sprint, I guess. Yeah.
I got 161 words, said hi to my mom, and filmed an update for my vlog.
Nice.
Nice. Very nice.
Is this the first vlog that's going to go up? Is that my understanding, or is it like one of the first?
This is the first one.
Nice.
I filmed one before, but I never uploaded it. So I think this one's gonna get uploaded before that one.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Not too bad. CV says 208 words and broke 5K. I'm guessing you mean this weekend? 5K total over the course of the write-a-thon?
Yeah, I
I don't know.
it means.
Also read some fan fiction.
I also broke 3,000 for today. I'm proud of myself.
Ooh.
As you should be.
That's
Stacey said I did get some words. Don't know how many because I forgot to see how many I had before I started. Probably around 100. Yeah, I mean, I struggle to quantify things, especially because, like I mentioned yesterday, is I'll write things in shorthand first, and then I'll go back and actually flush it out. So it's like you deleted 300 words. So you only really wrote 100 words, but in reality, I like moved more out than that. But
yeah. Actually, what I do most of the time when I'm writing, in a general sense, whether it's like writing, drafting, or editing, or whatever, I track time actually.
makes sense.
Yeah. So I'll just be like, oh, today I'm going to write for 2 hours, and then I'll just have my timer there. And, like I just used my timer as my app in my laptop. And then if I have to take a break, I want to go get a snack or whatever, get a beverage, I'll just pause the timer. And then when I get back, I'll play it again. So it'll be like 2 hours, but it'll really be actually 2 hours.
Okay.
Not just like 2 hours going by during the day.
Makes sense.
And so it'll be like a real 2 hours. And then once that's up, wherever it is, however far I've gotten, that's it. That's the goal reached for the day. And then I'll just pick it up the next day with another time goal.
Sounds like a good strategy, but sounds like one that wouldn't work for me.
No?
My ADHD brain says, you can't do that. Because like that that I would be not able to write for, say, 1 hour. Even though I can, if I set the expectation of writing for some time, I think I wouldn't be able to do that. So
it's not
doesn't
command
motivate me
defiant
enough.
so much it's not command defiant so much as you're worried about it then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that. It's sort of like if you can see the finish line, then it makes it hard to make progress towards the finish line. Whereas if you just take a step at a time, it's a lot easier that way. And if you have like a time goal and you can see the 2 hours or the 1 hour or whatever, then it can make it really challenging to make progress towards it. I get that.
Yeah. Word counts just motivate me more.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Crystal said 603 and chose a new font for how text messages are displayed. We'll change it again when I format this thing. Valid. Anytime those happen, or like letters or whatever, it always breaks my brain trying to figure out how to, format them correctly.
Yeah.
Stacy said I got dressed, yay, and worked on some laundry, which took longer than expected because Karma was slowly walking in front of me. That's terrifying. Shannon said she'll be working on AuthorTube writing conference. Did I say that right this time, Michael?
Yep. Yeah.
Yay! Admin things today. Hoping to get my next Fated Adventures packet together to send to participants due to mail due out on July 1st. I got coffee and said hi to the fam on that sprint just woke up. I know you missed that thing, Shannon, but I talked about how I don't like the word only during sprints.
Depending on the context of that particular word also. We also established that.
That's true. Stacy said I did just write down my current word. Oh, okay. I just wrote down my current word count. I think I just had a stroke on stream. Anyway, 5K in this story, which so happens to be what I've written for the whole weekend so far. So both. Sweet. Okay. I count every word I write because I spend the time writing. I also track it by gamifying it, which shows me how I spend my time, and I annotate it. If it's brainstorming, drafting, revising, or drafting along with the time, word count, and project. That's a whole lot of numbers to track that my brain would forget to do. Like, I think it's good to do that. I just know I would forget. Because, like, if I'm focusing on that, I'm not focusing on the writing. And if I do get into a flow of writing, I'm going to forget to stop and do all that extra stuff. I really struggle with multitasking in that way. But I'm glad it works for you. Yeah, I can set a time expectation for myself, but I need to have a start time, so then I have to focus and forget everything else. I tend to do like a countdown, like the timer there, as opposed to counting up to a time.
Okay.
And I do the same thing with exercises. I'll like have it on the screen of like, I don't want to run for an hour. It'll start at the hour, and I'm trying to stay all the way to 0.
Yeah.
I don't know why that works better for my brain, but it does.
I just use like timers that count down, almost like out of habit, but I can also use timers that count up, like stopwatch type timers. That works for me too.
I do better if I don't track a specific word or a strict word count when drafting, but the generality, is that what that, yeah.
Yeah.
So I wrote down the word count, but I do better if I just use a rounded number for how many I get in that sprint. Makes sense. And also apparently Karma is the online nickname for my youngest. Gotcha. I assumed it was a someone, but I didn't know what the someone was. I keep track of my word count for the sake of streams because I find it easier to answer how that sprint go without having to go off on progress tangents. If I'm writing without sprints, just go until I'm sleepy, no progress tracking. That feels very similar to how I do things, so that's fair. I went through several. Shannon said I went through several different versions of trying to track my writing until I gamified it. I annotate time and word count. by handwriting it in a schedule, only used for tracking, that stays open and sits in front of me. This is the only one I've been able to keep up with and been doing for 3 years. Shit, I mean, at that point,
That's
you definitely know it works.
Yeah, good for you.
Nice. Oh goodness, what time? When is this one supposed to be over? We've only been doing it for an hour. Okay, got it. Sorry. Time zones make it hard to math. But yes, okay, so we've got an hour.
It's always like daylight savings time.
Oh God, don't even.
Arizona not doing daylight savings and
Jesus, don't even get me started on that. I'm ready to go into the next sprint if y'all are.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm done.
Let me put it on the screen. That would be helpful. All right. See y'all in 20.
See ya.
Okay. Good luck, everyone.
Why is it that I always
No.
get into a groove like with 2 minutes left to go? It pisses me off. Oh, goodness. Anyway, it's fine. How was your sprint?
I did basically nothing.
That is also like I finally was like, okay, yeah, I know what I'm about to do next, and then I looked over and I was like, there's like no time left. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm a bit exhausted, so I just planned what I'm supposed to be doing and then did nothing at all.
Makes sense. Well, you have like a little less than an hour, and then you could drop off to sleepland.
Yeah,
I would say you
probably
could sleep
won't,
during the
but
sprints, but I don't know if I would trust myself to get back up.
I wouldn't.
Hi, Michael.
Hi. I for the sprint ended up having a bit of a snack, kind of walked around a little bit. That was about it. And I think I did a bit of writing. I don't really remember. I don't think I did actually.
We all just kind of went, nah, we're done. Tap out, sprint.
It was like a break sprint, right?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you were so excited, Shannon. Clearly, we didn't do the thing, but you know, it was self care. That's how we're gonna spin it.
Sure, yeah.
CB said, "I'm reading. I've set myself a timer for an hour." Interesting. I'm curious if that was based off of our conversation previously.
Well, for reading, I would definitely do pages because it's like, for me, it's so predictable,
Yeah.
especially if I know what I'm reading and there's a certain number of words on a page, depending on the book. But,
Yeah.
at least given whatever book I'm reading, I would just do sort of like, progress or whatever by pages read.
Same. Stacy says I got about 50 words, but I got the dishwasher running, tea started, youngest child got the TV, bio break, and a drink, and most of those were editing words. I mean, that's a lot of things off the list, so,
Yeah.
I'm ready to start writing fresh words, I'm assuming, next time. Crystal says 280 words, and then got myself into a rabbit hole making sure I was referring to an ancestor character correctly. Yeah, the amount of times where I'm like, oh shit, I forgot what this random side character I haven't mentioned in several chapters is named, what their mannerisms are, whatever, and so I have to go back and like find them again and like read through their stuff and be like, okay, this is what they're supposed to be like.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, it's always
the infamous like T-shirt changing colors or something like that.
Yeah, or just like what was their like thing they do with when they're nervous or whatever it is, because you don't want the same thing of like everyone does the same shit, like each person has their own little thing, like their own little nervous habit or whatever, and it's just like, oh fuck, I forgot what it was.
Right.
Helloing to everyone. I'm working on my AO3 work, and as we just mentioned, hadn't done a whole lot yet, but all good. CB says I'm the type of neurodivergent-ish that if I don't set a timer, I will read until my battery goes flat. I mean, reading is still good, so I don't know if that would be necessarily a bad thing. I understand if that's like your main thing and you don't do anything else, but I mean, just general reading. I feel like a lot of writers like don't think of reading as beneficial, but like if you don't read, how is your own writing going to get better if you're just in your own little bubble at all times and don't see how other people do things?
Yeah, you have to read to write, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh goodness.
But I'd say it's also important to read and pay attention to what you're reading.
Yeah.
Just reading and not paying attention. And read the good stuff, That's life is short. It's too short for justifying the stuff that's not so good.
Yeah. Well, and it's also like, I don't know, maybe this is just something I've noticed, but a lot of books that have a whole lot of critical thinking required get way less on ratings than stuff that's just, plot is easy to track. And it's just like the whole point is for you to think, and the fact that you don't like thinking, like, this is not the book for you then. Sorry. But they're like, oh my god, there was just too much going on, or like, why did you have to like do an allegory for real life? Because that's what they wanted. They wanted you to think about why things
Yeah,
are the way they are.
yeah, I hear you on that.
CB says, I have a huge writing project and even more huge knitting project that needs to be done by the end of October at the very least. The time is essential. Valid. Yeah. Deadlines suck. Deadlines suck.
Yeah, but also deadlines are good sometimes because at least I'm the kind of person that if I don't have a deadline, I will get nothing done.
That's fair. I struggle with like, if there's not a routine in place, it's just not going to get done, which again is why I struggle with getting back into writing. Like if I write consistently, there is no problem. It's just that getting back into it, my brain's like, but why? Because you
Yeah,
enjoy this.
I feel the same.
Yeah, for me, routine is important, and also deadlines are also important, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know which one would be more important to me. I feel like deadlines would be a little bit more important to me. And I like to sort of set informal, almost like daily deadlines, kind of, or daily goals. Um, Routine is good, but I don't know. I feel like for getting more done, but like in a healthy, productive way, like say over a month, I feel like deadlines would help me a little bit more than routine.
Interesting. I feel like it's the opposite. Like if I need a whole lot done in a short amount of time, deadlines definitely like put a fire under my ass. But like, like having deadlines consistently just makes me want to do it less. But if I have like, okay, I know I have to write X amount of like for let's say an hour every day, I will inevitably get stuff done. It's just me saying I need to get by XYZ point is like, I don't
The
know.
thing,
Maybe that's just something about my brain. I'm just like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Kind of a
the
thing.
thing about deadlines and routines for me is that I thrive on routine because of my autism, but then my ADHD wants to constantly make new routines, so they constantly change. But then, if I have deadlines, I get stuff done, but also I have uh some PDA related things like thought patterns. So um So if I have a demand that I need to do this by some point, then my brain is automatically like, no, can't do it.
Hmm.
It just my brain just refuses to do demands,
Yeah.
even if they're set by me.
I feel like demands set by me are worse, even. Because, like,
Yeah,
I could just tell myself no. Like, what's going to change, really? Like, eh. But, like, if other people are involved, I'm like, shit.
Hmm.
yeah,
I have to acknowledge it, like, out loud that I'm not doing this.
I see.
uh, CB says I also play the clarinet. I'm between teachers at present, so I'm going to try to find a new teacher soon, and that means I'll have to find time to practice. Valid.
Hmm. Yeah.
Stacy says deadlines and routines have individual strengths and therefore places. Fair. I
yeah,
think it, like we said, it also depends on the personality type of like what is more beneficial. But it's also interesting because a lot of people think of them as kind of the same thing, but in reality, they do vastly different tasks.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like apples and oranges. They're both fruits,
Yeah.
but they're different.
Yep.
And I feel like I've heard this before from others, even in AuthorTube. Um, it's like some people don't like to kind of like track time and use time as a goal because they feel there's kind of like no motivation or something like to work while the timer's going. You know what I mean? Um, like they kind of feel like once the timer's going, it's like there's no pressure making them actually do work because it's almost like the timer is the work, right?
Yeah.
And as long as the timer's running, you can just get to your goal without actually doing anything, right? And then when the time is up, you can just say your goal is done and there isn't that pressure. But for me personally, like maybe years ago, I kind of would have felt a little like that. But now it's just like I can just get the timer going and then there's no problems with motivation using that time as best as I can to actually work and write or whatever it is. So,
Well,
but
and I feel like
I have heard that, and that's why some people will say like they prefer to just actually set goals based on the results themselves, like how many words written and stuff like that, and just do it like that. But
yeah, that's what I was talking about with the routines part is like when I was writing consistently, if I had that writing hour, I would get a whole lot done during that hour because my brain was used to doing that. Now going back into it, it's like you said, the timer's there. Like I'm doing the time.
yeah,
I mean, there's not a whole lot of motivation to do anything else, but the
yeah,
routine in place would actually get there.
right,
Um, Stacy says, I find that routines help me get things done consistently, but I need deadlines for those things that have a higher priority. Which I just did because a kiddo needed a physical. Yeah, fair. Stevie, I'm on grade 3 for music theory and clarinet, so that technically means I am now an intermediate level player, and therefore the practice is required. Is more now. Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
yeah,
I mean, more power to you. Music theory always made my head spin. Like,
yeah.
the why of it.
Music is definitely. I mean, like the musical geniuses of the world and of history are definitely their own, like true geniuses. You know,
Mm-hmm.
music theory. Yeah, it's very interesting for sure.
It's kind of like I was a math minor in college, but like the thing that got me the most was any time I had to like do the proofs. Like it's like okay, triangles have 180 degrees of angles in it. Prove it. And I'm like because that's the rule. Like they're like nah, you need 17 steps in there to prove it. And I'm like but that's the rule. Like
Yeah.
I don't have an explanation why. I just know that that's the thing that it is.
If you think about it, it's a little bit silly because it's like you know the rule, but you need to use another rule to prove the rule that is
Yeah.
almost more well known. It's almost like looking up the word the in the dictionary. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
don't know the word the, then you're not going to know the descript or the explanation for the word the, you know.
Yeah.
But I remember those proofs myself.
But that's the same with music theory of like you know it works because that it sounds nice. Like that in my brain like that's the end of it. Like
Yeah.
it sounds correct.
Yeah, and it's the same as maybe the same as in maths showing your work. Like I know what 2 plus 2 equals, but I don't know why or how I got there.
Yeah.
I just know that.
Well, like when I was a kid I would skip steps when I was
Yeah,
doing
me
math
too.
because in my head I'm like, okay, I already know this and this. I don't want to write it down, so I'll just write the third step, which is the actual step that I need to write down because my brain can't do it itself. And they're like, you skipped all these steps. I'm smart
My
enough to
brain
do it.
goes
I don't
like-
know.
My brain and train of thought goes like,
It's too fast to write everything down.
yeah, and it's too complicated to explain with words or numbers what is happening inside my brain.
Yeah.
You need Common Core math to break down the rule, which takes so much freaking time. Yeah, well, I'm in Texas, so we don't do Common Core, but I've seen it and it looks gross. So, CB says I can't sit any practical grade beyond grade 5 until I pass grade 5 theory, so the theory is essential. Interesting. Didn't know that. So to prove the triangle rule, would you use Pythagoras and other? I've been out of school for this will be my 4th year, so it's been a hot minute since I did geometric proofs, and I threw that shit out of my brain as soon as I was able. So I couldn't. Well, like I'm also thinking of the whole like if there's the 2 lines and the one that crosses through, this one and this one are the same, why? And then you had to like explain that these are congruent, and then therefore this is a congruent, and then this one is plus 180 minus whatever, and blah blah blah.
Or you could do it by just saying corner A plus corner B plus corner C equals 180 and prove that with different numbers.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of ways to go about it, but you can't just go because.
Yeah.
Because I said so. Like, that doesn't count.
Unfortunately.
I'm sorry, Crystal. I know this is not the point of this stream at all, but sorry.
What you can also do is, as I recall, and for me it's been many, many years, but you can make an assumption, right? Where, like you can assume that something is true, where if, how does this work again? It's like if you have to
assuming
prove
X, Y, and
something.
Z is true, therefore blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you go through it, then you can conclude that indeed that is the case and you've proved it.
Yeah. CV says, unfortunately, I suck at math, and it's going to be essential to relearn to simplify. I don't know what vulgar fractions are. I know it says for simplifying compound time, but I still don't know what that means. I'm assuming that is something to do with your grade 5 theory, musical theory, but I have no idea what a vulgar fraction is.
I think she's just referring to fractions as.
Oh, okay. I thought okay. Vulgar
Yeah, I
fractions
googled
are
it.
also
It's
known as
just
top
common
heavy.
fractions.
I've always heard it as mixed numbers.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, is this a like, haha, the fraction says fuck off? I don't. That's what I read it as. I was like, what?
Yeah,
But,
that was my first thought also.
Yeah, but I've always heard of it as mixed numbers or what's it called? In something fractions. I don't know. No. I don't know. I'll that's probably going to bother me enough to search it during the sprint, but you said it, I didn't. To be fair, the American school system is absolute dog shit, but yeah. As someone who is a teacher, I can guarantee that there's so many things that I want to fix, but, add to that the possibility of there not being funding in a few years.
Oh,
it's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. On that depressing note, let's go ahead and do our last sprint.
This
so
will be
that I can go look up that word that I'm trying to think of.
Oh.
All right. See y'all on the other side.
Yay.
'Twas the last sprint. Mostly because I don't trust myself to get everything else done in the time allotted left. But, yeah. Well, first I figured out it was in fact improper fractions. That's what the name is.
Yeah, that's what I learned too. That was the term I learned also.
It was either mixed numbers or improper fractions. Well, improper is like 12 over 8, and then so like this as an example, the improper fraction would be 12/8, and mixed number is 1 and 1/3. They mean the same thing. It's just a matter of how it's formatted.
Yeah.
I don't see where. Okay. Stacy says, "Dang it! I just realized that Monster has to start that kind of math next year. I made a refresher course. I'm sorry. I'm guessing Monster is an older child because Karma is the youngest. But and then there's a whole lot of discussion about various fractions, which again is not the point of the write-a-thon. Or the Storytellers Hearth. I just think it's funny that this is how we ended up.
I was a quick story actually. I remember I was in Michigan. I was in Frankenmuth, Michigan, and I saw a T-shirt which is still stuck in my mind as my favorite T-shirt ever in the store. And the T-shirt said, 6 out of 4 people have problems with fractions.
Valid. I 10 out of 10. Stacy said she got nearly 300 words.
Nice.
Crystal said 672, getting to the end of the chapter. And getting past the first big drama. Ooh. Stacy says to protect the kids, we use names like Monster and Karma when talking about them online. I totally agree.
That's a great way of protecting your children.
It also gives context about their kind of personality.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I'm guessing Monster is a little menace, and Karma is the all the shit that you did to your parent is now getting done to you by this child. I'm guessing that's the thought process, but I totally get it, and I have no faults on that, so I agree is smart. Yeah. This is not the same. I won't have children for several years, but I always call him the boyfriend. And like we had a milestone of a year and a half last weekend, and that was the first time I posted his face on social, and it was literally us throwing confetti in the air, so you couldn't even see his face anyway. Like he is just the faceless boyfriend. So I wish more parents were. Yeah. I have some kids where, like my students, where I have to call their parents and I'm like, hey, do you know that your kid is showing off a YouTube channel that they made where they're showing their face and the face of the younger siblings online?
Oh.
And most of the time they don't know. And I'm like, yeah, you might want to look into that because they're showing it to their friends who's showing it to who knows who. Also, people could just find them online. So Stacy says, not really for Karma. My husband wanted to name her that, and I refused because Karma is a name. So this is our compromise for her. I have no words. That's hilarious. 10 out of 10. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's funny. But yeah. We're getting to that point where is it supposed to be 30 or 15 minutes left? I forgot. I don't even remember.
I think every block is 2.5 hours, right?
Yeah, so we have 5 minutes left on the 2.5. So
yeah, we could probably go a bit longer. I mean, if there's a whole half hour right before the next stream.
Saying like I don't think there's enough time for another sprint was my original point.
For sure.
But I appreciate y'all hanging. I hope y'all don't mind the random math talk. You know, sorry. Is not well. To be fair, we also went on different soapboxes on my last stream. So this is what you get, Sarah and Sam, for choosing me to do too. Every time I go off on a tangent. So this.
Well,
I'm not going to say it's your fault, but like y'all should have known ahead of time.
I'll go ahead and tell another quick story. Also has to do with fractions, but in grade 10, I had a math teacher for grade 10 math, and he would always say, "Don't let fractions push you around."
I mean, yeah.
Mind you, he was like 6 feet tall and like he could bench press like 250 pounds. He was a big guy. But according to him, he would say, "Don't let fractions push you around."
Yeah. One of my math professors, he is like a gym rat to the core, which again is not what you normally think of when you think of a math professor. But like he lives 5 miles ish off of campus, and he would bike to work every day, and he never was sweaty, he never was gross, and he wore the whole suit and like still managed to bike to work every day. And so one of the things he had in his syllabus, and it was for every class every year, was that if you could beat him in a bike race, you would get a 100 for the entire semester, no questions asked. And the whole point, he explained to me later, was you would have to train for that anyway. You're putting the amount of work in that you would have to do to learn all the maths regardless. You're just picking a different thing to put your effort in. Because he trained every day. And if you wanted to beat him, you would also have to train real hard. And everyone who tried failed. So
So was this in like Texas heat that he was riding 5 miles one way every day?
Mm-hmm. And there were hills and all that other shit in the way.
Right.
And again, suit and tie, the whole shebang, which I was worried, to be honest, that like his pant leg would get caught in a wheel or whatever. But I mean, clearly he had a system in place.
Yeah, you've got to tuck your pant bottom, your hem or whatever, into your sock. Or pull your sock over the bottom of your pant on your right side where the chain rings are. And then you're good to go.
Interesting. Every stream that has a soapbox of some kind is half the fun. I'm glad you enjoyed Crystal. But yeah. Appreciate y'all coming. Thank you for being productive and or not productive with us. I'm about to go take a nap. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I've been yawning this whole fucking time. Yeah, happy Storytellers Hearth, y'all. If y'all want to check out any of our stuff, it's in the description. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Happy napping, thank you. Most welcome. The next one should be in 30 minutes, and y'all can use that time to get yourself ready. So,
yeah.
Have a good time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.